On a weekly basis within the Toronto real estate market, whether we're talking about Toronto condos, detached properties, semis, there are so many listings that are price changing or terminating to relist at a lower price. We're going to be taking a look at 3 listings that have price changed, in other words put, price reduction within the last 5 to 6 days within the city of Toronto and the Toronto condo market. That and much more in today's video. Let's get to it. Hello everyone, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realtor Inc. As always, back with another video for you guys here today. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Nice to meet you. My name is Sam, a Toronto real estate agent working with buyers and sellers across the GTA. On this channel, I love to discuss all things Toronto and GTA real estate market oriented. As you will see from the channel, we're talking market trends, market stats, market facts, market news, buyer advice, seller advice, pre-construction previews, Toronto condo building reviews, area analysis, and so much more. So if any of that intrigues you, feel free to subscribe and give this video a like. Furthermore, you can find my contact information on the screen and in the description box. Feel free to get in touch with me with any questions you guys may have. And luckily for me, many of you have gotten in touch with me within the last 2 years that I have been doing this. So thank you very much. Enough of all that. Let's get to the point of today's video, which is yet another edition of the Toronto real estate market price drop report. If you want to check out the first edition, I did it about a month to a month and a half back, where we cover properties that have reduced their price within the last 5 days. Now, in this particular edition, I'm only going to focus on condos within the city of Toronto, and all these properties, all these units have reduced their price within the last 5 days. At the time of recording of this video, we are recording this video on March 5th, so you might be watching it, I don't know, in 2025 or a day from today. So keep in mind that these are time sensitive items. Furthermore, within the last 5 days, there has been about 80 to 90 properties that have price changed with regards to condos within the city of Toronto. So I only try to pick the ones first and foremost that have price changed in terms of a price reduction, because a lot of units are price changing because of failed bidding attempts. So it's a price increase in the terms of the price change. Here we're looking at price reductions. Furthermore, I only picked the price reductions out of these 80 to 90 belonging to buildings units that I actually think are good value, that I actually like. There are a lot of absolutely trash units and absolutely trash buildings, or very mediocre average units in very mediocre average buildings that have reduced their price, but it doesn't make sense for me to cover those on this video. If you want to see a video where I cover buildings I don't really like or I think are better avoided, you can check out my YouTube channel. I have plenty of those videos out. I also do Toronto condo building reviews as well, most recently 197 Yonge, so check that out as well. But for today's video, I'm going to focus on maybe 4 to 5 units that I actually think are good units and good buildings. Each of them have different value propositions, of course, but enough of that, let's get to it. Starting out with the first listing that has had a price drop within the Toronto condo market, 225 Sumac, unit 503. Now it's a 2-bedroom plus 2 washroom unit, currently listed for $735,000, but was initially listed for $759,000. And 225 Sumac, in my opinion, is one of the better, if not probably the best building in Regent Park. Regent Park famously is all Daniels. It's a master plan community by Daniels. And you have a lot of buildings there, but I think 225 Sumac is one of the best buildings in Regent Park. The amenities are really good for those who are interested in heavy amenities. Me personally, if you're a longtime viewer of this channel, for my own taste, for instance, the condo I live in that I bought with my wife is low on the amenity side. And I prefer that because I usually prefer mid to low rises. But here, if you're heavy into the amenities, especially within the downtown Toronto condo market in the Regent Park area, 225 Sumac is one of the better buildings. So it's around 855 square feet as we see here. We see that with this 2-bedroom layout. This is actually a pretty common 2-bedroom layout in 225 Sumac with regards to the box-like shape. Now with 225 Sumac, I've noticed when I visited the units, shown the buildings to my clients, that with the 2 bedrooms in this building, Daniels really try to focus on giving more space to the living and dining area as opposed to the primary bedroom. They allocated intentionally more space to the living areas than the bedrooms. Because once again, just from this floor plan and all the times I've viewed and showed to my buyer clients 225 Sumac and other Daniels buildings in Regent Park within the downtown Toronto condo market, I have definitely noticed that the difference between the primary bedroom and the secondary bedroom for the 2-bedroom layouts are not that much. Now, it is a lower floor unit and it's not quite functional, as you guys can see from the layout, in terms of, the living and dining area. It is spacious in that terms, but it's not quite functional in terms of where the TV would go. And the exposure is quite poor here, as we see, right? Exposure is very key, especially if you're going to buy something a little further east in terms of Regent Park. You would at least want to sacrifice for the lack of centrality in terms of good exposure. And this building, 225 Sumac, is actually very nice in terms of their western exposures. Their western exposures have some of the best views of the central downtown, although there is a new building going up that will blockade some of the western exposed units in 225 Sumac. Moving on forward, another property, another Toronto condo within the Toronto Condo Market that has reduced its price within this last week. 2,212 Lakeshore Boulevard, Unit 506. Yet another 2-bedroom, 2-washroom unit. Here, the original asking price was $799,000. Now they're asking for $759,000. And as we will go through the pictures here, we will see that this unit has a wraparound balcony. But once again, another common thing coming up is a lower floored unit. And often when I see photos like this in terms of a listing, I sigh a bit. I roll my eyes a bit. If you're hiring a real estate agent to sell your property, the least they can do is use professional photography. And people might laugh and find this a point of derision, but this really makes a difference for how often people want to view your property. Professional photography does make a key difference. Nonetheless, that is a sidetrack from the actual conversation, which is the unit. Now, I like the building in comparison and in contrast to the first unit we were discussing. This is definitely a more functional layout. There's no question about that. But as you can see from the actual, non-professional photos, like this one, for instance, it's going to be a darker unit. The wraparound balcony portions of it are, blocked by another building, and it's a northwestern exposure. Not too bad, but, it's going to be a darker unit. And here we see the full view. And, in contrast to the first unit, this is in Mimico, which is southwestern Toronto. Obviously, the first unit was in Regent Park, which is pretty much downtown Toronto, but eastern portion of downtown Toronto. And this is one of the better buildings in Mimico. I wouldn't say it's actually the top tier building. I think there are better buildings in Mimico, but nonetheless, this unit is still a little bit overpriced at $759,000 in my professional opinion. I know I took a quick look before the video, some recent sold comps in the building. Smaller, obviously inferior units had sold in the 650. So when you make the proper adjustments, I think 759 is still a little bit higher. I think there's definitely room here to negotiate the price down further. Moving on next to downtown Toronto, back to downtown Toronto in terms of Bay Street corridor. We're going to take a look at 633 Bay Street, which is one of the older buildings on Bay Street. Here we see unit 715 was asking for $869,000. Now they have reduced their price to $839,000. Here we're looking at 1+1 with 2 washrooms and no parking spots. And it is a 900 square feet unit, 900 to 999, as it states on the listing. With western exposure, the maintenance is around $809. So here, this is a higher maintenance building per square foot than the first 2 units we took a look at, because those are much newer buildings. But I will have to say this for sure. If you're a longtime viewer of this channel and one of my clients, actually, I probably told you this a million times, some of my favorite buildings in downtown Toronto are the older Bay Street buildings. We're talking about 633 Bay, we're talking about 1001 Bay, we're talking about 801 Bay, we're talking about 763 Bay. So for end user, and this is where I go back to what I said earlier in the video, these units are going to have different value propositions for different people, right? I think for an end user who's not really that keen on resale value, a unit such as this in a building that is higher maintenance but nonetheless, it has a higher end user base. Not to say there's no tenants, but more qualified tenant base. You're going to get a quieter living experience in a building such as this, as opposed to, I would say, for instance, 225 Sumac. But here we have, once again, you know, first the photos of this is where the entrance is on Bay Street. And it is an older building. There's no doubt about it. It's not a sexy building whatsoever. Every time I've shown this building, I've shown units in these buildings, I have always found it a very quiet and peaceful building. Now, clearly the unit needs some work, right? It is a bit outdated. You know, the cabinetry, the kitchen is a bit on the older side. It's no longer in trend. I personally don't mind it. I think as long as someone does minor work in the living area, it is pretty passable. But nonetheless, this is probably the biggest unit we're seeing thus far on this list, close to 1,000 square feet, I would probably have to say. And keep in mind, with the higher maintenance, near $1 per square foot, I would probably have to say it's a 90 cents per square foot maintenance for this unit. You're looking at all inclusive as well, right? It's not just the age, it is all inclusive in terms of the utilities. So utilities accounted for, it kind of ends up being the same, right? Nonetheless, the resale value here is a bit capped. Not to say that in a moderate to hot market, in low inventory market, you won't be able to actually sell this for a higher price, or you'll be taking losses on it. That's not to say that whatsoever. But there's no doubt about it that an older building, of course, the resale value, although you won't lose money on it, you'll still make money on it. The cap, the ceiling is a bit lower. Nonetheless, in terms of location, this is probably the best location of all the 3 listings we're taking a look at today and have taken a look at thus far. And here we have the primary bedroom, and this is the view of the unit. Here we have the view of the unit. And here we have the view of the unit, as you guys can see. Anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. I wish I could cover more listings. There's a lot more listings out there that I think are quality units to point out in terms of price reductions within the city of Toronto and the Toronto condo market in the last 4 to 5 days, but we're kind of running out of time here. As always, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate. Let me know if you have any further questions in the comment section, or yeah, if you want to have any further discussions, feel free to get in touch with me with the contact information in the description box. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe and stay tuned. Thank you.